Have you ever been told that debt is dangerous, that it's something to avoid at all costs, that if you want to be successful, you need to be debt-free? That's exactly what the system wants you to believe. But here's the truth: the rich don't want you to learn in school. Debt, when used the right way, is the ultimate tool to build massive wealth. While most people drown in debt trying to buy cars, gadgets, and vacations they can't afford, the rich are using debt to buy apartment buildings, oil wells, and assets that put money in their pocket every single month. They don't run from debt. They run toward it, because they know how to make it work for them. When I was a young man, I watched two very different men shape my beliefs about money. One was my real father, an honest, hard-working educator with a PhD. He believed in working hard, saving money, and staying out of debt. The other was my best friend's father, my rich dad. He barely finished school, but he understood the game of money. He used debt like a weapon, a tool, a strategy. Guess which one retired broke? My poor dad worked for money. My rich dad made money work for him. And one of the biggest lessons my rich dad ever taught me was this: if you learn how to use debt the right way, you'll never need to use your own money again. Most people fear debt. The rich understand it. They know how to use it to buy cash-flowing assets, shelter income from taxes, and scale their wealth far beyond what's possible using only earned income. In this guide, I'm going to break down how the rich think differently about debt, and how you can start applying these same principles today, even if you're not wealthy yet. Because debt isn't your enemy. It's one of your most powerful allies, if you know how to use it. From the moment we're kids, we're told the same story. Go to school, get good grades, land a secure job, and whatever you do, stay out of debt. Debt is painted as the enemy, something dangerous that ruins lives. But have you ever stopped to ask why? Why is debt such a dirty word for most people, while the rich seem to use it like a power tool? The truth is, the school system wasn't designed to teach you how to build wealth. It was designed during the industrial age, to train you to be a good employee, to follow rules, obey authority, and trade your time for a paycheck. Financial education? Forget it. They don't teach you how to invest, how to build cash flow, or how to use debt strategically. They teach you how to balance a checkbook and fill out a job application. That's not education. That's programming. They want you to believe that the path to success is to get a good job, buy a house, save your money, and avoid debt at all costs. But guess what? That story only works for the system. It works for the banks. It works for the government. It works for Wall Street. Because when you fear debt, you hand over your power. You work harder. You save money in their banks. You invest in their mutual funds. And they get rich while you stay stuck in the rat race, terrified of making a move. The rich were taught something very different. They learned that not all debt is bad. In fact, the right kind of debt, used to buy income-generating assets, can be the fastest path to financial freedom. But you'll never hear that in a classroom, because if you knew how to use debt to build wealth, you wouldn't need to spend your life working for someone else. And the system? It can't function without employees, so they keep selling the myth, stay out of debt. But the truth is, they just don't want you to learn how to use it. Most people think they're being smart with money because they avoid bad debt. But what they don't realize is they're already drowning in it, and it's the kind that keeps them broke. Credit cards, car loans, personal loans, and 30-year mortgages. These aren't wealth-building tools, these are traps. The poor and middle class use debt to buy liabilities, things that take money out of their pocket every single month. A shiny new car with payments they can't afford, vacations charged to a credit card, a house that looks good on paper but bleeds cash through interest, maintenance, and taxes. They think, I deserve it, or this is the American dream. But the dream becomes a nightmare when they're working 40, 50, 60 hours a week just to stay ahead of the bills. And the moment they stop working, everything crashes. That's not freedom. That's slavery with a salary. The most dangerous part is that they believe they're doing it right. They see being debt-free as the ultimate financial goal, But being debt-free doesn't make you rich, it just means you're not in the red. You can be debt-free and still broke. You can be debt-free and still stuck in the same job with no passive income, no investments, and no plan for the future. Living debt-free might give you peace of mind, but it won't give you financial growth. It's financial stagnation. The truth is, escaping bad debt is only the first step. If you stop there, you've already lost. Because the rich aren't just avoiding bad debt, they're using good debt to build empires. While the poor and middle class use debt to buy things that rust, rot, or depreciate, the rich use it to acquire assets that generate income, appreciate over time, and give them control. The difference isn't the amount of debt, it's how the debt is used. And, until you understand that, you'll keep working harder just to stand still. The rich don't see debt the way everyone else does. Where most people see danger, they see opportunity. That's because they've made a fundamental mindset shift. Debt isn't the enemy. Ignorance is. Debt itself isn't evil. It's a tool, and like any tool, it can build something incredible or destroy everything if it's used wrong. The problem isn't debt, it's the lack of education around it. The rich are financially educated. They don't use debt to buy liabilities like cars, designer clothes, or overpriced homes they can't afford. They use debt to acquire income-generating assets, real estate, businesses, oil, gold, intellectual property. They understand the golden rule of wealth. Cash flow is king. The goal isn't to pay off all debt and live in fear, it's to make sure your money works harder than you do. Let's say a rich investor finds an apartment building that produces $10,000 a month in positive cash flow. They don't use their own savings to buy it. They use the bank's money. They borrow, they acquire the asset, the tenants pay the debt, and they pocket the difference. That's smart debt. That's leverage. That's playing the game like the rich. Debt becomes the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. It's a way to grow faster, scale bigger, and generate wealth using other people's money. And while the poor and middle class work overtime just to reduce their debt, the rich are strategically using it to create more income. The difference isn't just in the numbers, it's in the mindset. Most people are taught to avoid debt like a disease, but no one ever teaches them how to harness it. That's why they stay stuck. The rich, on the other hand, educate themselves, build strong financial teams, and use debt to multiply their income and lower their taxes. They don't fear debt because they've taken the time to understand it, and once you do, the game changes forever. Leverage is one of the most powerful tools in the world of money, but only if you know how to use it. It's the ability to control a large asset with a small amount of your own capital. In simple terms, leverage means doing more with less. The rich understand this better than anyone, and it's why they're able to multiply their wealth while others are stuck grinding paycheck to paycheck. Imagine this. You find a property worth $1 million. Most people would say, "I can't afford that." But a financially educated person knows they don't need $1 million. They might put down $200,000 of their own money, or even raise that from investors, and finance the remaining $800,000 through a bank loan. If that property brings in $10,000 a month in rent and expenses total $7,000, including the mortgage, that's $3,000 in monthly cash flow. The tenants are paying off the debt, the property is appreciating, and the owner is getting richer, using mostly other people's money. That's the power of leverage. You control $1 million asset while only investing a fraction of it yourself. And when done right, it doesn't just grow your money, it accelerates your freedom. While others are saving pennies, the rich are building portfolios worth millions. Leverage creates speed. Instead of waiting 30 years to save up and buy a property outright, you can own it now, and it creates scale. You can repeat the process again and again, multiplying your income with each deal. The more you understand leverage, the more you realize wealth isn't built by working harder. It's built by working smarter. But leverage without education is dangerous. That's why most people fear it. They've only seen it used poorly. Credit cards maxed out, houses foreclosed, businesses collapsed. The rich respect leverage. They study it. They structure deals carefully, and they always make sure the asset pays for the debt, not them. Used wisely, leverage isn't risky. It's how you escape the rat race for good. Most people spend their entire lives working for money and then giving up a huge chunk of it to taxes. They work hard, pay income tax, Social Security, Medicare, and whatever else the government decides to take. But the rich, they play by a different set of rules, not because they're cheating, but because they understand how the system actually works. And one of the biggest hacks in that system is debt. Here's the truth they don't teach in school. Borrowed money is not taxable. If you earn $100,000 from your job, you'll get hit with taxes before the money even reaches your hands. But if you borrow $100,000 from the bank to buy an asset that generates income, you don't pay a cent in taxes on that borrowed money. Why? Because debt isn't income, it's a liability. And as long as that debt is tied to an investment, it comes with even more perks. Real estate is the perfect example. When the rich use debt to buy a property, not only do they avoid paying taxes on the borrowed money, they also benefit from powerful tax strategies. Depreciation allows them to write off the value of the property over time, even if the property's market value is going up. Interest on the loan, that's a tax deduction too, and with bonus depreciation they can accelerate those deductions to wipe out huge portions of their taxable income in the early years. The result? They make money, keep the money, and reinvest the money, tax-free. Meanwhile, the average worker is stuck in the highest taxed position in the system. Earn it, get taxed, save it, earn a little interest, get taxed again. Sell an investment, capital gains tax. The worker is taxed at every turn. But the investor, the one who understands debt, is rewarded. The system isn't broken. It's doing exactly what it was designed to do. It rewards people who create value, provide housing, start businesses, and stimulate the economy. And it punishes those who just work for a paycheck. Once you learn the rules, you stop getting played and start playing to win. Most people think they own assets just because they have a retirement account or some shares in a mutual fund. But here's the truth. If you don't control it, it's not really your asset. There's a massive difference between real assets and fake ones, and understanding that difference is the foundation of real wealth. Real assets are things you can touch, manage, and control. A piece of real estate that produces rental income, an oil well that pays you as it pumps, a business that runs with or without you but keeps putting money in your pocket, gold that sits in your vault, not someone else's promise on paper. These are tangible, productive, income-generating assets. They don't just exist on a screen, they exist in the real world and give you leverage, cash flow, and tax benefits. Now, compare that to what most people are sold. Stocks they don't understand, in companies they don't control. A 401k stuffed with mutual funds, operated by fund managers they'll never meet. These are paper assets, market bets that go up and down based on emotions, headlines, and decisions made far above your pay grade. You hope they go up, but you have no control. You're not an owner, you're a spectator. The rich don't gamble on things they don't control. They own the asset. They own the dirt, the rights, the income. When something goes wrong, they adjust. They make decisions. That's the power of ownership. When you own the asset, you control your financial future. When all you have are paper promises, you're at the mercy of forces you can't see. The school system tells you to hand over your money to Wall Street and cross your fingers. But true financial freedom isn't built on hope. It's built on control. The more control you have, the more power you have. And the more real your assets are, the less you rely on fake security. Most people hear the word debt and immediately think of stress, bills, and financial ruin. That's because they only know bad debt. Debt used to buy things that don't pay you back. But the rich use a different kind of debt. They use good debt, and it's the secret to growing wealth without needing millions in the bank. Good debt puts money in your pocket. Bad debt takes it out. A credit card maxed out on clothes, gadgets, and dinners, that's bad debt. But a loan used to buy a small rental property that brings in more cash than it costs every month. That's good debt. It's working for you. It's building equity. It's giving you cash flow. And the best part? The tenant is the one paying the loan back, not you. You don't have to start big. In fact, most successful investors started small. A modest duplex, a vending machine route, a cash-flowing side hustle, or a car that's rented out through an app. These aren't dreams. They're doable. What they require isn't money. It's mindset and education. You need to know the numbers. You need to understand how to spot a good deal. You need to learn how to manage risk because there's no reward without it. The reason people fear debt is because they never learned how to use it. They weren't taught how to analyze cash flow, how to protect themselves with contracts, or how to spot red flags in a deal. So, of course, they stay in the safe zone, which is actually the most dangerous place to be long-term. Safe equals slow, and slow won't get you out of the rat race. You don't need to be rich to use debt. You need to be smart. When you build your financial intelligence, you gain the confidence to use good debt strategically. You don't need $1 million to start. You just need to start thinking like someone who builds wealth, not just someone who earns it. For generations, people have been told to save their money. Put it in the bank, they said. Build up your savings and you'll be secure. But what they don't tell you is this: saving money doesn't make you rich. It makes the banks rich. And in today's economy, saving money might be the fastest way to go broke slowly. Here's why. Every day, your money is losing value. Inflation eats away at your purchasing power. What $100 could buy you last year won't buy the same thing next year. So, when you park your cash in a savings account earning less than 1% interest while inflation is rising at 5%, 6%, or even more, you're not saving. You're shrinking. It's like holding a block of ice in your hand, watching it melt while pretending it's getting bigger. Meanwhile, the banks are taking your safe savings and multiplying it. Through the fractional reserve system, they lend out your money 10 times over, charging borrowers interest and collecting profits while you earn scraps. They use your discipline to fund their expansion. And then, they convince you that this is how smart people manage their money. But the rich don't play that game. They don't save for security. They invest for cash flow. They understand that money sitting still is money dying. So, instead of letting it melt, they put it to work. They buy assets that pay them month after month. Rental properties, dividend stocks, small businesses, royalties, oil wells. These things generate income, grow in value, and beat inflation. They aren't just sitting. They're producing. The goal isn't to have money in a bank. It's to have money flowing back to you, over and over again. That's how wealth is built. Not by saving, but by investing wisely and consistently. If you're still trying to save your way to freedom, it's time to wake up. The rules have changed, and if you don't learn the new game, you'll be left behind. If you want to build wealth that lasts, you need a solid foundation, and that foundation is made of assets, not wishes, not savings, not lottery tickets. Real, tangible, income-producing assets that work for you whether you're working or not. That's the difference between financial freedom and financial fantasy. Most people are taught to build their life around income. Get a job, earn a paycheck, pay the bills, and hope there's something left over. But that model keeps you trapped. You're always trading time for money. And the moment you stop working, the money stops too. That's not a foundation, that's a house of cards. The rich build their foundation the opposite way. Assets first, always. Real estate that pays you rent every month. Gold and silver that protect your wealth when the dollar drops. Bitcoin that stores value outside the system. Businesses that make money while you sleep. Intellectual property like books, courses, or content that continues to pay long after it's created. These aren't just things you own, they're engines that generate income. They're your financial safety net, your freedom plan, your escape route from the rat race. The key is to start building now, not when you get a raise, not when you have more time, not someday, today, even if it's small, even if it's one step, because time and consistency are what turn small beginnings into powerful results. The sooner you start, the faster your foundation takes shape. And once that base is strong enough, it starts to support you, so you can stop supporting it. Don't wait for the perfect moment or the perfect investment. Use what you have. Learn as you go, make mistakes, and get smarter, but build. One asset at a time, one stream of passive income at a time. That's how freedom is created, not through luck, through intention, education, and action. Lay the bricks now, and you'll walk on that foundation for the rest of your life. Most people spend their lives avoiding debt like it's a disease. They think if they stay out of debt, they'll be safe, secure, protected. But that's a lie sold to you by a system that needs obedient workers, not financially free individuals. The truth is, your biggest risk isn't using debt, it's never learning how to use it. Because while you're playing it safe, the rich are playing the real game, and they're winning. The rich use debt to buy assets. They borrow money to create cash flow. They let tenants, customers, and systems pay off their loans while they keep the profits. They know that debt, when used wisely, is the key to speed, scale, and leverage. That's why they get richer, not because they work harder, but because they work smarter. You can play the same game. But first, you have to stop thinking like the middle class. You have to let go of the idea that being debt-free is the goal. You have to stop chasing job promotions and start building income streams. You have to stop working for money and start making money work for you. That means educating yourself. That means being bold enough to step outside the box. And that means understanding that debt, in the hands of someone financially intelligent, is a tool, not a trap. The real danger isn't taking on debt. The real danger is staying stuck, punching the clock, saving scraps while inflation eats away at them, hoping your 401k or Social Security will be enough. That's the slow path to financial death. You don't need to be born rich. You don't need to wait. You just need to change how you see money. Shift your mindset, build your financial foundation, and use the tools the rich have been using for decades. Debt is only dangerous when you don't know what you're doing. But in the hands of someone with the right education, it becomes your greatest advantage. Don't be afraid of debt. Be afraid of staying broke. If this message hit you in the gut, good. That means it's working. It means something deep down is waking up, maybe for the first time, because everything you were taught about money was backwards. You were trained to fear debt, to chase job security, to trade your life away for a paycheck and pray it's enough. But now you know better. You don't have to keep playing the game the way they want you to. You can change the rules. You can stop saving just to watch your money melt. You can stop working just to pay bills. You can stop surviving and start building. One asset at a time. One deal at a time. One new decision at a time. This isn't about being reckless. It's about being responsible with power. Educate yourself. Take control. Learn the language of money. Learn the strategies the rich have been using in plain sight. Don't run from debt. Learn to master it. And once you do, you'll never see money the same way again. The path to financial freedom isn't easy, but it is simple. It starts with a shift in mindset, in habits, and in action. And the best time to begin? Right now. You've got what it takes, now it's time to prove it.